Okay, welcome to episode 2. Previously, some time ago, there was episode 1 where we did the first half of the bracket. Now we're doing the second half of the bracket. If you want the explanation on the rules and all the stuffs and all the things, go watch that episode. But we're doing the sports ball thing, but for train. It's train ball. It's
Train Ball!
It's Mark's Madness 2025. Yes, as Leighton said. So, we'll click through the slide there. Yeah, we got rules. We talked about that. We're on the other half of the bracket now today. And then next we'll do a semifinals and then a finals, probably all as one thing. And we'll kind of see how the timing plays out. But, here we go. First matchup. Oh God! Oh no! Why you got to do this to us? Okay, we have Southern 5046, which is
awful.
Tender booster.
Genuinely awful.
Genuinely awful.
Send in the tractor.
Yeah, send in the tractor. And then we have Virginian 802, which is a 210-10-2. Okay, so here's the little details. One's a normal 210-2 with a second locomotive attached. The 262 tractor has its own throttle and reverser linkage. It ran poorly. You don't say! Then we have the Virginian engine, largest cylinders ever used on U.S. locomotive, could maintain 8 miles an hour in simple, presumably before the fireman died. And they had small tenders.
Like that was a fireman plural situation there.
Probably. Small tenders so they could fit on turntables and big McLarge huge. Correct. Which would win in a fight? Even if the number of drivers on this adds up to 16 somehow, 20 is more than 16.
It's got to be Big McLarge huge, right?
In simple
Tiny little drivers with the largest cylinders ever used in the US.
If it could do 8 miles an hour in simple mode, it's not going to win a super speed tug-of-war, but it will pull the god in the universe in a tug-of-war. So for sure, this one, yeah.
Yep.
This is what we should have had for cutting on 491's tender this weekend and getting the brackets off. The longest lever, we need a Virginian 210-10-2.
Okay, open the throttle and the whole tender falls over. Yeah.
Like a tin can.
Which one was a better engine for its purpose? Arguably the 5046, because you can cut the cursed bullshit of the tender and make it into a normal 210-2 at some point.
Yeah, but
I will clarify that the AE was really well liked and served its purpose for a long time, basically with no changes from when it was built in 1918.
I was going to say, the Virginian engine is built to slog it super slow with long freights, and it looks like it would be fantastic at that.
Just
the Virginian is also highly underrated.
Yes. The Virginian is very cool.
The Virginians, you know how cool they are? They have power cord whistles. That's how cool they are. Yeah.
And diesel electric 484s.
Because, yeah.
Big box motors with jack shafts. So electric engine with side
I guess I was thinking about the Southern engine being more normal and whatever, and my thing was, fit for purpose, because anytime I see something this big that says Virginian, I usually think of the other big thing that says Virginian that is much worse.
That's not good.
So I think we could say the 802. Which one is more cursed? Pretty easy win there.
The Southern boy there.
The Southern engine.
Handily.
Why would you pick either one? I'd love to run this just to know what it was like to be able to run the second engine separately.
Yeah, how does the two throttles thing?
And how does it ride?
Poorly.
I'm sure, and it particularly, this is like the same problem with the Garrett. Why do you put adhesive weight that disappears into the boiler? Like, why do you do that? Just saying.
Also,
and why would you put a trailing?
Is the tractor engine piston valve or slide valve? I can't quite see.
Looks like it's piston valve.
Piston valve.
Okay.
Why would you put a trailing truck on the tractor engine?
Because it acts as a lead truck in reverse.
Oh, Jesus.
Water.
Because, when you need to back that monstrosity up at 50 miles an hour.
Shrug.
It's necessary.
I
do. Get back on the bottom of the hill.
I love the thought of this running around on its own as like a B unit being run from the porthole. Correct. Circus music intensifies. Would Brett fit? Brett would fit in both of these. Ellis, give us the stats.
Okay, yeah, let's do the stats. I'm noticing that there were some errors in my... Oh wait, no, that is the same. These were both built in the same year. That's hilarious. So 802 wins by the stats 22-15. Of course, absolutely massacres the 5046 in all of the heating ability stats. Like obliterates it.
The firebox on that thing.
Yeah. It's only 516 square feet, which I think is less than the AC9 that we talked about last episode.
Of heating
but
surface.
Even still,
yeah.
The fact that the combined heating surface is almost 11,000 square feet, that's how this thing could make enough steam so that when you put it in simple mode, it could still mosey along at 8 miles an hour with like 200,000 pounds of tractive effort.
Yeah, so I would like to make a quick thing to point out to our viewers here. I'm enhancing the locomotives. On the 210-2, you've got a sizable firebox over the trailing truck, normal cab. On the 210-2, the firebox is over the trailing truck and the rear three drivers on the rear of the engine. That's a lot of firebox.
God, I hope that thing was Stoker fired.
2 Stokers.
Yeah.
Bob
Joe
and Jim.
and Bob.
I was gonna say Bob and Jeff. Brain cell.
The one commonality is Bob.
All right. So what are the votes here on these two?
I guess the Virginian?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be for fist muscle McPusher power thing.
I'm going to be contrarian and go with the 5046 just because I think it's fully maxed out the curse stats.
I will give you that. Next matchup.
Yep, next matchup. Here we go. We have the Chicago and Great Western 881 and the Union Pacific 9000. I know where I'm voting already, right here, right now. I will be biased on this. The Great Western CGW 881, gigantic, poorly balanced, built to run with ox tenders, so good that the crews hated them for reducing the workforce. That's not a great stat. And the 9000, unique and enormous, 3-cylinder, foamer debate over the clearance crank. Oh my god. No flangeless drivers, though later in life. And what, 9000? There's no way that can be right. Vegeta, check his power level. It's over
9,000! It's an old meme server that checks out.
That is quite the old meme. Okay, so who would win in a fight? It's the 9000.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. This a 210-2 or 210-4? It's a Texas.
210-4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Chicago Great Western they had a sawtooth grade. So it's very much going up and down hills and not going anywhere fast. They were the slow route to nowhere.
Love that. Which one was the better engine for its purpose? I would say the 9000 because its purpose was pulling all of Nebraska, and I'm pretty sure it did.
It did that very well.
And they made 88 of them. Come on.
Yeah. They're pretty good.
Although, this does look like a neat Texas... What is with the sand dome?
Angles are cool.
Roblox.
Yes. Which one is more cursed? I suppose you'd have to argue the 9000 because of the angle and the fact that the third main rod connects on number 2 and the Gresley conjugated gear, which is interesting. More cursed, though, is if you're aware of the bald face 9s with double wall shirts that look like the flying pumps on this look great, but the lack of anything on the smoke box other than the door, it just looks like it's got its mouth on sideways.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it looks like a fish with like the
yeah.
The sideways fish.
Yes.
Flounder.
Why would you pick either one? I would pick this one because big stupid, big real stupid. I so badly want to see the real one. It's been a favorite engine of mine for a long time.
The 9s are really cool. I gotta go with the 9s.
And Brett would fit in both of these.
It's very true. I don't want to discredit this 210-4 because I love a Texas type. Texas type engines are cool. It's like Berkshire but bigger.
Mark, do you know what the Q called their 210-4s?
No.
They called them Colorados.
I like that better than Texas's.
I agree.
Anyway.
I don't disagree with you.
I hate to turn down the 210-4 just because we don't know as much about it as the 9000, but the 9s, they're so cool.
The 9s, yeah.
What's the hard thing about putting this together? Anything you put up against the 9000 in the first round, it's gonna lose.
Pretty much, yeah. 881, you're very neat. Whoever submitted it, what a cool looking locomotive. But I mean, the 9000,
Except
yeah.
for Darth Sandome.
Darth Sandome is a little weird, but yeah. And then the handrails that actually run through the sandbox. That might win. Or no, that's
the throttle.
What is that the throttle
That's the
rod?
throttle.
The throttle rod runs through the Sandome.
Okay, that just got up. I think that.
Wait, no, hang on. Oh, my scroll wheel runs that too. Oops. I want to enhance something.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
It goes to a lid. The throttle's right there. It goes to a lid on the stuff. I don't know what the heck that's about.
Okay. Also,
someone in the comments.
From the audience, or from the person who submitted this, they did so well with the railroad, they ended up with 36 of these things and had to lay people off to pay for them. So
actually, I wanted to read something. I know we're trying to move through these, but I wanted to read something. To help pay for these huge engines, a lot of employees lost their jobs. The shop force at Olween, Iowa was reduced. The terminals at East Stockton, Illinois, and Conception, Missouri were closed. The bigger engines resulted in fewer trains, so the trainmen and enginemen took a hit. Even the operators at the various coal chutes were reduced to just one man. A superintendent asked engineer Frank Anderson whether he liked the new engines, and Anderson replied, "I don't." The supervisor asked why not, and Anderson said, "They pull too many cars."
They PSR'd before PSR was
That
cool.
that is a hilarious quote, and I'm glad you shared.
I think I want to give
How are we?
881 credit for, I think it's really giving 9000 a run for its money for cursed.
Sure. Yeah. The more you look at it,
Which is impressive that you've taken a 9000 class locomotive and you found an equivalent sized playmate that's just as messed up.
yes. Ellis, could we get the stats?
The stats come out in favor of the 9023 to 16.
Okay.
That really shouldn't surprise anyone. What surprises me is that the 9000 wins a couple of weight stats. It has a better axle loading and a slightly less than 1,000 pounds smaller tender.
I was just gonna say, just keep adding axles, and the axle loading will get better.
Make the divisor larger.
That is a strategy.
The 881 has a better boiler pressure and a smaller driver diameter, but less tractive effort. It does have a 13,000-pound booster on the tender.
Oh, cool.
Which is to say, that's most of the booster tractive effort of the 262 on the Southern engine that we just talked about, which was 18,000.
With just like a normal booster engine.
Yeah. And yeah, it has more tubes. Well, actually, it has smaller tubes, which we rate more highly because you can pack them more densely. But yeah, 9000 absolutely kills it in heating ability and, for the most part, power output. And yeah, it's a good engine.
I vote 9000.
Gotta vote the 9000.
I'm going to vote 9000, but also I want to just make another note. This was from the user submission. The Chicago Great Western, after they retired these, they replaced them with 8-packs of F units.
Correct.
They said, EMD, you can MU. We've learned what this word means. We're going to copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste.
Does that say more about these engines or more about early F units?
Yes. Next pairing.
Next pairing. Washington and Plymouth number 10. Oh man, can I ban a locomotive on site because I already know what it is. Which one of you submitted this? You just wanted to watch me get mad. At least I'm pretty sure it's that one. But anyway, and then Union Pacific number 21.
Getting you mad is the brand here.
Oh, that is true.
Called Mark's Madness.
It is called Mark's Madness, and the madness begins. We have the Washington and Plymouth number 10, built to burn poor wood, and it was the only narrow gauge Atlantic in North America. That is a 3-foot gauge engine. Screams. Small, served for 2 W&Ps, the second nicknamed the Walk and Push. Tracks. I do believe that they rebuilt this into like a 10-wheeler or a Pacific. They un-Atlanticed it at some point, if I'm recalling right. UP number 21, one of the first mainline UP engines with wall shirts. Neat. 4-cylinder Vauquelin originally, I assume. one of the last rigid frame compounds in mainline service. Yeah, because it appears to have been, unless it's Vauquelin this way. I think it's rebuilt.
That appears
no,
to be
I
close.
I think this stayed as a Vauquelin. It's really weird.
So where are your other two cylinders?
So where Vauquelin?
No, then I guess you're right. I don't know. These
That looks an awful like just a normal piston valve.
Yeah.
Choo-choo.
Yeah.
I keep trying to enhance.
It might appear to be an HDS engine without Chirac gear, but it's in fact a four-cylinder Vauquelin with the high-pressure cylinders driving the rear axle by a slotted rod. So...
By a what?
Slotted rod. There's
say what again?
Hang on.
Say it
Hang on.
say it one more time.
Hang on.
Is
That was
it Vauquelin like this?
Union Pacific 21.
Don't know.
If it has four main rods, Ellis, I'm gonna have some words for whoever submitted this.
It might.
Does that make the Vauquelin better actually? Because you lose the issue with the wrist pin not being concentric to the bore.
Right. But you double the amount of main rods.
You double the amount of main rods, which is
pressure cylinder, and then you're having an internal rod that is apparently hooped around the first axle.
Oh no, it's not hooped around, it's slotted. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh god, that's exactly as it sounds.
Yeah.
That means that side rod must have like a joint in it, because they're not pressing the wheel on around the axle. Or around the rod, so like they have to get the rod around.
It's like some of the valve gear on some of the stuff I saw in Slovenia, except it's, for the low pressure piston. Alright, winner cursed. Anyway, who would win in a fight? Unfortunately, this thing, because this thing is narrow gauge.
Object.
Yeah.
The
object, yes. Which one was a better engine for its purpose? Well, this one's purpose was to burn wood. So it's a pretty low purpose.
So, from the user submission here...
We would burn more wood for 3 days.
From the user submission here, I'm going to read the whole thing because they talk the East Broadtop in here. Washington and Plymouth number 10 is the perfect locomotive because it's the only 36-inch gauge 4.2 ever built. It was built by Baldwin in 1902 and went on to serve the Norfolk County Lumber Company as well as the Wellington and Powellsville, which were both logging lines, parentheses, which also means that this little is more of a freight locomotive than East Broadtop 11, close parentheses. It also earns points for being the cutest little that ever did run. Primary sources claim that it was a good steamer, although it was a little underpowered for its weight. It was executed by firing squad in 1926 for conspiring to overthrow the governor of North Carolina.
Well, that's kind of cool.
I think I'm gonna ask them to cite their sources on the last bit, but the rest of it, hilarious, no notes.
Somebody wanted to get Jersey's goat, and I'm pretty sure by the sounds of the explosion I'm hearing from New Jersey right now, I think that has succeeded.
They've succeeded.
Yeah, no, I really don't like that. Everything that's good about an Atlantic is a very short list, and the only key thing in that list is speed. What is narrow gauge not known for? Some morons have even said that narrow gauge never did more than 10 miles an hour.
Some morons.
Some morons. It's fine.
Moron?
So, Simoron? That's on your train layout. Okay, so yes, which was a better engine for its purpose? I think of the Union Pacific engine, as jokingly as we can otherwise. Which one's more cursed? If you didn't say the Vauquelin bit, it would have been the 3-foot gauge, but it's the UP engine. Why would you pick either one? Can I pick neither? Am I allowed to pick neither? This is the first...
No, it's not an option.
This is first matchup where I'd say pick neither, because I don't... At least you could make a 10-wheeler out of this.
I gotta disagree with you. I mean, just look at the UP engine.
We're at time, by the way.
It does look nice. Would Brett fit in the engine? Yes on this, no on this. There you go.
Yeah.
I guess, Ellis, give us the stats.
Wait a minute.
Alright, so...
Before we get into that, I want to know...
Time limit, Leighton Moreland.
Is the boiler bigger or smaller than one of the, what's the railroad? Swanton Pacific engines?
Bigger.
I don't have that in front of me. But no, let me tell you about these two. They're both Baldwin products, which is kind of funny. Yeah, UP21 wins 22 to 13. That shouldn't really surprise anyone because it's like a normal sized engine. They're both soakers, and the good steaming ability of Washington Plymouth number 10 is actually reflected in the stats. It's got a 296.39 evaporative heating surface divided by cylinder volume, like well over 200, which is the benchmark I talked about last time. Of course, the UP engine being a compound has 407, so it kind of just it demolishes the other engine. The UP engine has much larger drivers. It's got better boiler pressure. It has much larger cylinders. It has like 4 times as much tractive effort.
And 4 times the speed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said they're both soakers, and it's like you say superheated Vauquelin, and I can hear packing dye in the distance.
Yes.
Okay.
It just smells hot.
Can we all just agree weird Union Pacific thing and pretend it's not Vauquelin and move on?
Yeah, I could buy that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But
narrow
Washington
gauge Atlantic.
Number 10, you are a cute little.
Okay, we're not done with Atlantics.
What he said. Oh boy, more Atlantics.
I like Atlantics.
Match
I do like
12.
Atlantics.
Oh god, we're getting into some real cursed garbage. We have the Sacramento Shops number 1, 440, and then we have Reuben Wells. Oh no, it's a 442. No, we're not done with Atlantics. Why is that an Atlantic? And then Reuben Wells.
So, Reuben.
Oh
Why?
my god. Reuben's a choo-choo. I remember when I learned that existed, I was like, why the fuck? And then I learned it still existed, and I went, why the fuck? Anyway, we have number 1, which is built by Norris as a CP440 number 41. Became one of the gunboat tanks assigned to Sacramento Shops 1905, later scrapped. Cute, but so weird. You needed a shop switcher back in the day, and when you only had steam engines, you had to be creative about sizing them because dealing with shops, that's the reality. That's why they look so weird. Reuben Wells, built as an 010 briefly became an 080. I would love to know what that means. Replaced cog locomotives, and it now lives in a children's museum, and anyone want a sandwich?
If memory serves, when this was an 080 Ellis, didn't they just remove the number 4 driving axle?
No, they removed the last axle, and they shortened the bunker, and they put a saddle tank on it.
Equally horrible.
Yeah, it looked goofy.
So, who would win in a fight? I'm sorry, you have an 010.
It's Reuben.
It's Reuben.
It's Reuben.
Reuben's gonna knock you down. Which was
also two points I'd like to make. The Sacramento Shops engine, if that was in commuter service, that is like the great-great-great-great-grandfather of the current fancy Stadler electric overhead wire bullshit that's now running in California. The part of California high-speed rail you can actually ride now. So that's just like a really cool origin story. But also the Reuben Wells, it was built for a specific grade, and so the boiler is at an angle.
It's like the Mount Washington cog engines.
Yeah, literally, because it was
slightly,
Yeah, which was a better engine for its purpose. These are both extremely good examples of engines that were designed and built for and did great at a purpose. So I don't know which one you could pick, honestly.
Probably.
I want to counterpoint that and say that the Sacramento Shops number 1, despite living as I think it was 1003, was its number as a commuter tank. It was not built as a commuter tank. It was built as a normal 440.
Yeah, I guess its shop switcher purpose. I'm considering its rebuild as its new purpose because it's being shown to us in that context.
Even as its rebuild, the correct answer for a shop switcher is a tank engine. There is no context in which an Atlantic is.
This is a tank engine.
It is a tank engine. What are you talking about? I would argue
you know what I mean.
Brett saying more weight on drivers would be better. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. But
not half of the we're talking about space being cramped. Half of the locomotive is forward of the leading driving axle. That's a lot of wasted space.
I think that's compared to other shop switchers. This one gets you the purpose of, hey, it was cheap and Tony built it in the back shop, and look, now we have it.
And look, I made a shop switcher. It only took me 10 seconds?
Yeah. So I guess we can give the edge to Reuben because Reuben was purpose built to be stupid and was stupid enough that it still exists.
You memed too hard.
Which one is more cursed? Roll the dice, man. Flip a coin.
Race to the bottom.
Reuben's worse.
Sure, but this is a 442.
I do hate the gunboat tanks.
I love them.
I hate that look. The little hoopty that comes down.
I don't like this.
No.
I love it. I want more. I want a model of that.
You're a sick man.
I want to be standing in Palo Alto and see one of those do 50 past me with a bunch of wooden coaches.
You are a dreamer of beautiful dreams, but you're a sick man.
Yes. Why would you pick either one? You'd pick this one if you had a very particular hill. I believe in Ohio? Shrug?
Something like that.
Maybe?
Indiana?
Indiana?
No.
Might have been Indiana.
Indiana?
Somewhere.
I think it was Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
I don't know, somewhere in the far Middle East.
You would pick this if you had a dilapidated 440, which you no longer cared about, that, you could get a tax write-off for doing this awful thing to it. And also note, I don't think it's...
Why is the air pump mounted to the dome?
I don't think it's jacketed, because look at the sand dome and how it's floating.
Yeah.
It's... all of this hurts.
Yeah.
Okay. Would Brett fit in this locomotive? I don't know if Brett would fit in either of these properly.
Look at the interface between the smoke box and the barrel. I think it is jacketed. The sand dome is just doing that.
Oh, that doesn't spark joy.
No.
His head just did that.
Damn thing just popped right off.
Anyway, all right. I started the timer late, so I think we're at time.
I think give us the stats.
Leighton, I know you said you want a model of this. I'm sorry to tell you that you're probably not going to get a trading card of it, because unbelievably finding an 1860s Norris stats is really hard. But this does come out to 15 points in favor of the Reuben Wells and 14 points in favor of the gunboat tank, with all that we have, which is actually a decent amount. There was a lot of digging that was done here. Obviously, both of these are not superheated. They both have about 202-inch tubes, relatively similar heating capabilities, but the Reuben Wells has just a straight-up longer boiler. And slightly higher boiler pressure and slightly larger cylinders, which leads it to make about twice as much tractive effort. It's about 25,000 pounds of tractive effort, and that's what you needed to replace a cog in the 1800s. Both Stevenson engines, and despite the fact that I have the year listed as 1882 for the Sacramento Shops engine, that's just when it was rebuilt into a tank engine. So, yeah, pretty close. 15
also, wait a minute. If that was Central Pacific number 41, that's early enough. That engine came around the Horn. It came on a boat the long way to California.
Yep.
That's kind of neat.
That's neat.
Freaking cool.
Not the last time we'll see that.
Oh boy. So which one do we vote for?
As much as I hate it, I have to go for Reuben.
I don't know if I could pick either of these. They're both very neat.
You gotta pick one, man.
They're both very neat. I love Curse Shop switchers. Reuben is a special little dude. I guess I'm gonna pick Reuben. I guess.
My vote doesn't matter. I'm gonna go with the gunboat.
Naturally. You said you wanted
It's
to model
so
it.
weird. I love it.
Huge boats. Gunboats.
And I am gonna take a BLT. Next pairing.
No,
right.
Reuben is a superior sandwich.
We're not going to start talking about rye bread.
What is? Just kidding.
Okay, here we go.
We're not going to start talking about the rye bread orientation.
Speaking of going around the horn, match number 13, Atlantic and Great Western 84, the Telegraph and Central Pacific 149 at the Black Fox.
It's got piston valves.
Oh, I didn't even know. I was reading. You spoiled that for me. That's rad. 6-foot gauge on the left. Built by Thomas Davis of the Jersey City Locomotive Works, one of the first locomotives with piston valves. That is undeniably kick-ass. Central Pacific 149 had a larger tender from 124. That is huge compared to it.
It's got the big 6-axle.
Ran New York to San Francisco in 83 hours, which is kind of nutty to think about, because that's on par with Amtrak, if I had to guess.
On a good day.
Engineer Henry Small, 24-hour shift, 87 879 miles straight without a mechanical failure, which tells you that it had multiple mechanical failures between New York and San Francisco.
Well,
Also, the tender got a hot box, but it wasn't its tender, so we won't count that against it.
Okay, so looking at Google Earth or Google Maps, by car, it's about 2,900 miles. So let's just assume by rail it's 3,000 for round numbers' sake.
Right. So it had at least 3 3¾ failures.
Yeah, 3,000 divided by 83. That engine averaged a speed of 36 miles an hour.
Considering all of the stops for water and fuel and everything, that's impressive.
And considering it's a 440, 36 miles an hour just as an instantaneous speed on an American is non-trivial. That's moving.
Yeah.
That thing must
Unless
have
you're
been
on the Porterfield and Ellis.
The 999 and the Porterfield and Ellis would like to know your location, but
Yes.
the speed with which the impressiveness...
An American that looks like it's going to be in a Roy Rogers movie.
I was going to say, the impressiveness of top speed goes up with how ornate the headlight bracket is.
Correct. Correct.
Really great graph.
I'd like to see that graph.
Daniel
Somebody make that graph. Daniel, do it. No, keep working on the project.
No.
Anyway.
Daniel submitted most of these terrible things, by the way.
I am not surprised. Daniel is a delightful human that knows so much. And I will note for Daniel to appreciate us knowing something. Look, it's got the passenger bell with the extended stanchions that are really pretty.
Yeah.
I will say I want to thank him for his contributions for the Porterfield and Ellis trading card. Without him, we would not have that.
Gotta love that. Cheers to you, Daniel, as always. Who would win in a fight? I don't think it's a fair fight because this one's 6-foot gauge.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
Telegraph.
guess
Yeah, it's
Telegraph.
gotta be Telegraph.
Which one is a better engine for its purpose?
Probably Telegraph?
I guess.
Because they're both 440s. Piston valve.
Piston
That's
valve.
good.
It's kicking. Yeah. Which was
But
more
also,
cursed?
This was one little pissant 440. No disrespect, Black Fox, but you're a pissant. That made a run from New York to San Francisco at an average speed of about 36, 40 miles an hour.
But that's not its intended purpose. That's cool.
It did
No,
that.
but it's
But they
Yeah.
have the same. They have the same intended purpose.
Yes.
They do, but if my rubber ducky can play Beethoven on a Steinway, I'm gonna be impressed.
This one did this one is the one that is a named train in Railroad Tycoon 3, and this one's Train 5. I see his argument.
Yes.
Also, I just noticed if you look at the picture, this one over here, you can see that she's got a valve chest surround cover on the one side, but not on the other, leading to perhaps one of your failures there. That's kind of funny. Which one is more cursed? 6-foot gauge. I'm sorry. Telegraph is way more cursed.
An American with piston valve, with full length piston valves and the rounded top to the stack looks. I'm gonna say it. It looks vaguely AI.
It does.
Does that engine have quick?
Also, look at the size of this and the size of this. So, details. Why would you pick either one? You'd pick this one because you could actually still run it. Sorry, 6-foot gauge went out of style in the 1860s, I think. And would Brett fit in this locomotive? He might fit in this one. This one...
Right.
I see an average height human of the time there. He's got a quite tall hat, but that's still not a Brett, so... Ellis, give us the stats.
All right, I can't give you much because, unsurprisingly, an 1860s locomotive from the Jersey City Locomotive Works, which scarcely has any records of.
It's amazing that there's a photo. Yeah,
right.
It's amazing we have a photo that doesn't have the tender, mind you. Thomas Davis was the guy who patented the piston valves. He also owned or worked in the Locomotive Works. I'm not sure. Jersey City Locomotive Works folded not too long after producing Telegraph here.
Because they spent all their money on making the headlight bracket.
Yeah, yeah. And so the data that I have for this locomotive is that it's 6-foot gauge, which isn't a stat that we used for comparison. That was built by Jersey City in 1864, and that it is Stevenson valve gear. That's all I have. That's the only numbers that I have for it. By comparison, 149 has almost an entire sheet if we assume that the tender is statistically similar to the one that El Gobernador had, which was a very similar looking 6-axle tender from the Central Pacific.
Do you want?
CP did have a standard 6-axle.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I have to give it. 149 gets 2 points because it was built by Schenectady and not Jersey City, and it was 4 years younger.
2 points.
Other than that, I got nothing.
There you go. Do we just all agree to vote the Central Pacific engine and move on?
No, I'm going to go with Telegraph.
Well, match 14, Leighton Moreland. Oh, Christ. Okay.
I love it!
Western Pacific number J. Number J.
The lineage of this locomotive is a goddamn enigma. I don't even know where to begin with this locomotive. This is William Penn. This is one of Norris's first engines, as it says down below. They built in 1835. It went to some railroad. Then that railroad got bought by the PRR, and then it was sold to the Strasburg Railroad. Yes, that Strasburg Railroad. Then I think the Strasburg Railroad was also bought by the PRR. It was rebuilt at the Norris shops. Central Pacific bought it and they shipped it across the country, and it was there into the 1890s. There's a photo of it. Well, this photo of it is Western Pacific, and there's another photo of it with its tender. I don't know why. I don't know what's with these photos without tenders. This thing is an enigma.
Is WPRR for Western Pacific or is it for William Penn Railroad?
It is. I believe it is Western Pacific as described by the person who submitted it. Now, again, finding data on this thing is kind of like diving in the bargain DVD bin at Walmart. You're really not sure what you're gonna get. Exactly what happened and if it got new drivers and what the stats were is a real enigma.
Okay.
The only thing that I can tell you is that on the diagrams for a sister locomotive, the George Washington, there are different numbers for your weight distribution and your tractive effort based on where the people were standing.
Yowza. That is,
Fine.
that makes Montezuma look big. That's,
I thought...
Also, this thing survived in the 1890s. Per the note from the submission, a Westinghouse technician found the engine at a derelict property in running order in 1897. So it's like, it's 1897. You've got telephone, you've got electric lights. And this isn't
You were
like
2 years away from having 20.
Yeah.
20 was on order. You're not finding, like, the equivalent today of, like, a computer that runs on a card. You're finding a chisel and a tablet of stone.
pretty much.
This
In working
is the
order.
Old Testament
And,
to Windows Vista.
yes. And its competitor is the Sterling Single, yes?
That we've said nothing about because nobody cares.
because we're busy being like, oh!
Oh! There it is.
8-foot drivers could do 85 miles an hour, and they were featured in Thomas and Friends. Did we have to include that fact?
Yes.
No.
Okay, fine.
So I've actually, at the British Museum in York, they have a pattern for an 8-foot driving wheel that you can stand next to.
That's got to be pretty cool to see.
And it's just like, holy this is huge. What do you mean they only had one of these? You have an 8-foot driving wheel and you don't want to have more?
God. Who would win in a fight? I guess the Single, because the positioning of the crew did not affect its adhesion. Which one was a better engine for its purpose? I don't know.
It's a real race to the bottom, if I'm honest.
It's a real
Probably
race to
the Sterling.
I
Probably
guess.
the Sterling.
The Sterling didn't get immediately sidelined.
But that one survived for like 60 or 70 years.
Sterling still exists.
It saw the pop culture rise and fall of Stephen Stinkin' Foster. Whoop-de-frickin'-do.
Which one's more cursed? I guess the Norris.
The Norris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Sterling is
I
still
love a Norris
cursed,
420, though.
Yeah.
The box on top of the boiler with the most ornate bell ever.
It's adhesion.
that is, yeah, it's filled with concrete. Restore it with concrete and run it on the main line.
Mango gobbles.
Mango gobbles.
Yes.
And then the 10,000, I mean, the Sterling single, I mean, you'd pick it because speed, I guess. And would Brett fit in it? Well, I mean, it looks like the
Maybe,
driver
but
might
I'd
fit in
make
the
it do a
cab.
little wheelie.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would like to
God.
point out the Sterling single, you only choose it in Railroad Tycoon 3 because it's better than the Buthe or the Adler.
Yeah.
You
All right,
don't
Alice.
choose it because
Crampton.
it's the best option, you choose it because it's the best option available.
Give us
Okay.
the stats.
Statistical analysis is kind of a disaster because most of these numbers are taken from engines that we know more about that are similar to the William Penn, like the George Washington, which I described earlier. Although that was probably smaller. And because of this, we have a lot of weight stats, which of course the Norris wins over the Sterling single because it's way smaller. And not a lot of power stats and heating ability stats, which the Sterling single would win handily because it wasn't built in 1835. Statistically, with all the numbers that we do have, the Norris wins 11-8, but God no.
I think the William Penn, its thermodynamic capacity is measured in candlelight.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, Ellis, I think we found 2 locomotives that are probably real outliers for your trading card system.
So I'm thinking William Penn, then the park bench, then Montezuma, right?
William Penn
Yeah.
might lose to the park bench because it would hit the
Yeah.
park bench and then fall onto
There
its
are more
cab.
stats available for the park bench.
It's true. I think we go the Sterling single and give the Brits one more hope and a prayer in this bracket. Not
Screw
for
that.
long.
I'm going to William Penn.
Are you?
I think it's cool. I like a Norris.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Deciding vote up to the man who's been consuming whiskey.
He is an Anglophile.
Ooh. This is fascinating. I see.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Because going to the user submission for this, for the Sterling single, it's a pretty famous example. After all, it even inspired a character in Thomas the Tank Engine, but seeing it in real life left me with an impression that not even years of therapy can fix.
But Leighton. Ugh.
Oh,
You know what? Brett's got a solid argument. I'm gonna have to go with William Penn because somehow Western Pacific, it's got a Rio Grande connection. Ugh! I choose the number J.
No.
entire continent of Britain know that it is the 2 people who like the British choo-choos much more than I do that have voted against the precious single.
The entire continent.
The
not-
entire continent of Britain.
The British.
Right.
It's they're an island. Island.
You're not getting a trading card of this. Anyone out there? It's not happening.
This or the park bench. You gotta choose.
All right, on to match
Next
15, which
matchup.
is, I believe, this should be our.
Oh.
Or I guess we have
Our
2 more.
penultimate match.
Penultimate match. We've got the Grand Canyon 4960, which again, the Santa Fe should apologize, and they're right there in this image. 4960, part of the Q Steam program, gold painted Tenshoto Mikado. Oh, I didn't know they did that to other engines too. That's fun. Long excursion career and French fries, yes. Versus
Yep.
the Susquehanna 142. Uh-oh, I'm in danger. Hi, Casey. I'm in
Guess who submitted
danger.
this?
Casey or Zimzam, one of the 2.
Yes.
Originally built for the Valley Railroad, Tangshan locos come with a rice cooker standard, replaced 141 which sunk, and Bing Chilling.
Zhao Hong Shu!
So we have a Chinese 282, which is a copy of an Alco. I've heard the lore of this engine a number of times. It's a very neat engine. I'd love to come meet it at some point. But
Please do.
versus the Santa Fe's sadness that has been done upon our CB&Q engine.
On a beautiful plate-faced cube Mikado with the
Fuck you.
slopies the upper
Uncuse your
sloping
mic.
tender.
Pretty much. Who would win in a fight? I think the 4960
The
for
Q.
sure. Yeah.
The Q-Chooch.
Which one was a better engine for its purpose? Well, the 142
Probably the SY.
was built to be a tourist railroad engine, and it does quite well at that, from what I've heard. So, no notes. 142. Which one is more cursed? 4960 because it got un-CB and Q'd.
Yeah.
Are you listening to us? It's a cool engine, but like, come on.
Yeah.
Why
There
would
are
you?
people who really...
CMO of the Grand
really
Canyon,
like
if you're hearing this, please,
Also-
please.
Also slab-sided tender.
Yeah.
Two things. One, I will never forgive the Grand Canyon Railway because I made an entire trip around getting the Steam excursion and then they canceled it.
Oh.
How
And
dare
two, I can't remember what I was gonna. Oh yeah, no, there are people that really, really, I don't use this word lightly, stan 4960, like alarmingly.
What does that mean?
They really like it. I don't know.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
That's a word.
But
I
also,
mean, it is a nice looking engine. It would just look nicer
cool.
if it looked like it did when it was on the
If it
Q.
looked like a Q engine.
4960 in its existing configuration, never been done as a model. You want to get Susquehanna 42 or 142? You can do that.
The
just
model
very
train posting.
expensive.
There you go. Would
get
Brett fit in
141
this?
too,
Would Brett
put it
fit in
at the
this
bottom of your
locomotive? I think probably yes on both counts.
Casey
Yep.
says just barely in her notes.
The SYs are almost exactly the size of a K37. Like, it was bizarre meeting 3025 in person and going, oh, you're standard gauge? You're kind of familiar.
Yeah. And I think the 142's got Trophimoffs, doesn't it? Pretty sure it does. You get cool points for that, Ellis. Put that on the sheet.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're not doing style points here, but I won't lie, that is usually a very large part of the
Mechanical style points.
Yes.
Anyway, give us the
SYs are
stats.
cool.
Yeah.
The stats. This really shouldn't surprise anyone. 4960 does a really good job of winning here. 23 points to 13. It wins in almost all of the heating ability points and loses in almost all of the weight points. It is much older, but it's also much larger.
Yeah.
There's not too much to be said about this. It's got an extra 20,000 pounds of tractive effort.
Big chooch
That's
from historic
substantial.
times, smaller
Yeah.
chooch from modern times. Yeah. I made a face just a couple seconds ago there because I'm like, oh yeah, and here's one of Casey's engines in this, and we have one more matchup, and now I'm scared at what the you guys have probably put in the last matchup, and I'm not excited for whatever it is.
This one at least isn't Casey's engine. It's just a.
That's
a
true.
sister to Casey's
That's right.
engine.
3025 is
It's
Casey's engine, and 142 is the. Yeah, I keep confusing.
She submitted this anyway.
I mean, are we all voting for the SY?
I am.
I am.
All right, we can all vote for the SY. Undo your heinous deeds, you Santa Fe
Yes.
files.
Crimes against the Q.
Yes, the 142 moves on, and to our final first round matchup, and I probably should have looked at the bracket before we started. Oh, okay. Oh.
Oh.
Hang on. We have to do the with cameras on. Oh. Hey, WWNF. It took
Oh,
a
is this
couple.
why you wanted the data on this?
It took a couple months for the to finally catch on, but it's catching on. So
I'm so glad.
you bet. Anyway, we have the Midland Terminal number 64, and then the Ray and Gila Valley at number 11. So thank God we don't have to deal with picking some of our children, because that would have good.
That would have been bad.
Would have been bad. USATC S155, built as an 060, lead truck added with specifications from the builder, converted back to an 060 later. Coal bucket. Bucket, fair.
I was gonna write BUH space KET, but I wasn't sure if it would translate.
Bucket. And then this thing, why does a copper company need a 242? May or may not have been built with air brakes and stored out of service for 16 plus years before it was scrapped. Okay.
Cool.
Who would win
Why
in a
does
fight?
anybody need a 242? That's a question that has not been answered.
Yeah,
What does
242s
God
are
need with a starship?
242s are pretty pointless. Much like 240s. Sorry, Montezuma. But anyway, she only won because it was a park bench. Who would win in a fight? The 260/060. Either way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Midland Choo Choo.
Which was a
You're in the
better
Army
built
now.
which was a better built engine for its purpose. You could argue either of them, because this one's purpose must be sad because it's a 242, and this one merited a lead truck at some point.
Okay, I'd also like to point out that, just per this information, lead truck added with specifications from builder, the Midland said wait a minute. Somebody's probably already figured this out. Let's go back to the people who built this engine. Them, if they have a design, and get that from them versus, well, it probably is going to work.
Yes. Yes. Midland. Such a special, silly railroad. And this will probably air before Dusty's Midland story from the Colorado Midland, the predecessor. But, the Midland. There's a reason they've got this itty-bitty 260 and it's got double cross compounds on the front. Anyway, details. Which one is more cursed? Roll the dice, because double cross compounds, 260, 060,
Flying
coal bucket.
pumps on a mogul, because oink.
Oink, yes. Versus
Midland Terminal 64 is a pig.
I know that we've talked about the Pennsylvania Railroad. What is it? The I-1SA having the boob trait, like boobs.
Yeah.
This is the locomotive that's got a beer gut.
No, it's like one of the Saint Bernards that wears the little barrel on its collar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or a frog that's in process of riveting.
That's mid-rivet.
Are you implying that the Arizona copper miners were drunk all the time or something?
Wouldn't be
I'm
surprised.
saying they were.
Pilot kegerator.
Pilot kegerator. Can we get one? No. Rule G.
No.
Anyway, why would you pick either one? I don't know. Sad. Neat. Would Brett fit in this locomotive? Probably.
11 looks kind of small. I'm not going to be honest.
It looks small.
I'm gonna be
beans.
honest.
It's very little. It's
Okay, so with that, our last matchup here, Ellis, give us our last set of stats from round 1.
Midland Terminal engine wins pretty handily, 20 points to 7. The Midland Terminal engine also has... These both have fairly complete stat sheets. The only thing I'm missing on the Midland Terminal is how much of the engine weight ended up on the drivers after they added a lead truck.
Probably most of it.
Most of it, you know...
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I am these inquiring minds, because the stat sheet is basically done other than that. And then the Ray and Gila Valley engine, we have all the numbers for that. So it comes out 20 to 7, which I think is the most lopsided win today. And it really doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, look at the thing.
It is a neat, goofy little dude. And I will note, there was one thing I just noticed. Okay, take a look at the air compressor real quick for me, especially Brett. You'll note that it's not ribbed, but it's not big.
Oh, interesting.
That means
So it's not a locomotive compressor.
No, that means it's an 8-inch or smaller.
Oh, you're right.
The 9.5s were ribbed, the 11s were not, but that's sure as hell not an 11-inch pump.
No.
So it's an 8.
This was also...
Ugh.
11 was built in 1911. By the time Midland Terminal 64 was built, 11 had been out of service for like 10 years minimum.
So it had 6 to go.
Evidently. I vote for the Midland Terminal engine.
Midland engine.
Midland engine.
Yeah,
They're cool. They're neat.
they are neat.
They have 3 of them, I think.
Cursed but neat. Yeah. Well, that takes us to the slide intentionally
The
left
slot that
blank.
is intentionally left blank.
Yes, that is all she wrote for our first round here. Obviously, it's the video number 2 for the other half of the bracket, but that's it. Hopefully, we didn't poop on anyone's picks once again. But join us next time to get into how does the sports ball work? Is it semifinals, quarterfinals?
No, this wouldn't be the... Yeah. No, because the semifinals are the next one up. These are what? The quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals, semifinals, final.
In one, and then there's the last 5 matches, which are the
Leighton,
semifinals.
I've heard that you watch sports occasionally. You should know this.
Leighton's gonna walk out and his wife's gonna kick his ass for saying that.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So with that, the winners of this round, in short, are the Virginian AE, the UP 9000 class, the Union Pacific number 21, not a DeGlen Vauclane compound Atlantic cursed thing, Reuben Wells, Black Fox, the Sterling single, and did we pick the J there? We picked the Western Pacific
We picked
thing.
the J.
picked
The
number
Western.
J.
They picked number J.
I wrote down the Sterling
Missed
single
the J.
out of an abundance of hope, I suppose. Susquehanna 142 and the Midland engine. That means most of those are going to end up as trading cards?
This has been a fantastic, interesting round of all of these things, and most of the matchups were quite even. It's going to get interesting going into the quarterfinals, because we're going to start getting some really bizarro matchups, and that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, but that is for another video at another time. Thank you so much again to Ellis for organizing this, and Leighton for having one of his many grand ideas that go into the giant ADHD doom pile of a server. It's fine. This has been so much fun. We hope you guys have enjoyed it. Let us know if you think we got everything wrong, which you probably did, down in the comments below, and we'll see you next time for the quarterfinals, which are hopefully in March. Bye!
Bye!
Bye.